Welcome to the February 10th edition of Mulligan Stew, the Mulligan Stew podcast. There's a video version of this interview you can find on YouTube, the Terry David Mulligan YouTube channel. A good friend has come by. Actually, we're going to have a couple of good friends come by. Alan Doyle and Cor Blund will be around in a couple of weeks. They both got new music for you. For those of you who might not know who Alan Doyle is, let me fill you in. This new album, Welcome Home, is his 20th, including solo albums and releases, and of course this time with Great Big Sea. 30 years he's been doing this. It's a long run. And he's co-writing on this album with Donovan Woods, Jimmy Rankin, and Oscar Isaac. You might not remember the name, but you'll certainly remember him from his leading role in Star Wars and Dune. And he's just about to kick off a 44-date tour through February, March, April, and May. And Alan has talked about this album being his lower and slower album, the lower part of his vocal range and slower songs, because he's always been singing and shouting to the rafters, because that's the way the music carried him. He says, I'm letting myself do that for the first time. You'll see how it works. This is a good one, friends. Here's our conversation with Alan Doyle. It's in the video version on the TDM YouTube channel. The man is a fine musician, singer, songwriter, but he's also a master storyteller. Check him out. Let's pretend that we know what we're doing, okay?
Oh my God, since 1993 for me.
My name is Terry David Mulligan. This is Mulligan Stew, CKUA Radio, the Mulligan Stew podcast, and the Terry David Mulligan YouTube channel. I couldn't think of another name to come up with, so that's what I called it. Alan Doyle has joined me. Hello, Alan.
Cheers to you. Nice to be on the nice to be here and on the YouTube as well. And I'm delighted that we could connect from coast to coast here. Look at us. We're covering Canada between us.
It's been a year and a half since you and I had conversation. Are you a different person?
No, I'm older a little tiny bit. You're younger, I'm older. That's how it's working. It hurts to shovel slightly a bit more, but I'll be 55 this year, and this is like my 32nd year or something playing music for a living. And my brother Bernie has started saying to me, Alan, I know you don't want to, because you figure it might be boastful or something, but you're going to have to let yourself at least believe the possibility that you might get away with this. Like you might actually get away with it. Like you might actually get to spend your whole life on stage. How lucky is that?
I think you will. Well, I saw you were described as a lifer. You're a lifer. You're in for the run.
Give me 1,000 lives and I'll spend them all doing this. I'll tell you right now.
You know, I never ask you this. I always get straight to the things that we want to talk about. But how's your family? How's your whole big family? How are they doing?
They're excellent. My mom and dad are 80 and 81 respectively, and I spent the morning lugging in firewood with them because they still burn wood all the time over there. And while I was doing it, their neighbor came out and helped me bring it in. And I said, "Well, there's Newfoundland for you, right there, right? You know." Everybody helps everybody still and all that. And my wife are here in my house, and my little fellow's in grade 12 and he's graduating school this year. And I got a new record out and all my band is doing good and we're hitting the road again. And it's like, I feel like if there's anyone lucky in this world, it's Alan Doyle.
You've said that. And I know sometimes it might come off as flippant, but you did. When did you appreciate the life you'd built for yourself?
Well, I don't know why, but I'm not like, I don't consider myself to be overly smarter than anybody else or anything, but I heeded a piece of advice at a very young age. I really did. And like some of the older people in Petty Harbour where I grew up would say that, time is short. So and lots of the time it's going to be hard times. So you better love the good times. And I started doing that when I was really young. I swear to God, my buddy Perry and I grew up in Petty Harbour, and Perry's a famous author now, and we always talk about how we used to say that. It was like, well, we only got 65, 70 summers left. That's it. We got to get on this, like we're gonna run out of summers, and so yeah, I've always appreciated my lot, and especially as a young adult when I wrote my first book, even I was just like looking back on my young life, growing up in a fairly economically repressed kind of isolated place, and what a blessing that was, like how that very young learned to appreciate sort of community effort and got to participate in the economy of the town, cutting out tongues and selling them on the wharf. And so you learned the value of working hard and teamwork, and you learned how to sell and buy stuff. And all those lessons that most people learn the hard way, I learned the easy way. I didn't even know I was learning them. And who would have ever thought that, lessons you would learn cutting out cod tongues on the wharf in Petty Harbor, Newfoundland, in 1980, would give you lessons and life lessons to live by, in Geneva 3 days ago, it's like, in 2024. So when I say I'm lucky, right, I think people think I'm lucky because, I've had some success and I get to play music for a living, and I am lucky. That is grateful, even though, I worked for a lot of that. But what I'm really lucky for are the things that I had nothing to do with, right? I had nothing to do with the family I was born into. That's just luck, and I was born in with a good mom and dad and a family that played music and valued that. And, I was born in Petty Harbor, in the last breaths of the 1960s. And that town, I got to have a very similar life that my father had in the 1950s, and so those old school lessons of that people cherish these days, boy, that was my young life, that's what I did, and so that's where I really feel like the good fortune of my life started early and is repeated often.
There's a bounty for the take, and the hungry are the first you put to sea. There's a story and there's a song before the going become the gone, and the melodies that haunt our hearts and dreams will sing to us while we sleep. Welcome home, welcome home. It's been a long and lonely road, I know. So welcome home. There's a shadow on the town when the going's going down, and you stumble 'cause it hurts to fall in line. Coldest light of day, the tide will take you and no one can say if it's harder on the leaving or the left behind. But we'll dance when you've done your time. Welcome home. Get the gold, fill the hull full and head for home. There's a candle burning for you in the rain, and the old songs are still the same. Welcome home.
Petty Harbor, you left Petty Harbor to go and see the world and find new friends, but it's with you still. I still think I can find it in the songs. And speaking of songs, because there's so much else to talk about, I want to talk about this. Go straight to the music and the tour, and then we can talk about other things. But because it's important that we get the word out,
That's right. Yeah. New record. Welcome Home comes out on February 9th. Amazing.
Amazing. And the tour just boggles my mind, but we'll talk about that in a second. There's 44 dates. That's my lucky number. Welcome home. Do we read too much into titles? Sometimes I stay away from titles. They're just, sometimes they're marketing things. Yeah. But those two words, welcome home, yeah. Were you referencing something in your past, something in your future, or just your life in general? Or
well, the song is really speaks to, that Newfoundland compulsion, to get home, to go somewhere and come home, and to come home, and when you get sent away for work in Fort Mac or wherever, you're dying to get home. And the old joke is about, you can always tell a Newfoundlander in heaven because he wants to go home, and and so that song is really just a celebration of that fascination that we all have with home waiting for us, and that if you're lucky enough to live here your whole life like I do, how like you see the pain, especially when you get in your 50s. Actually, now that I think that people have sort of half of their adult life behind them, if you will, and they go like, okay, I left to go to work, went to Kelowna, or I went to Fort Mac, or I went to Ontario, or wherever, but now I want to come home, and because in my heart I've never left there, and that's where I want to spend. Where I spent my formative years, that's where I want to spend, the second half of my adult life or whatever. And we're not the only place in the world like that. I think islands can be like it a little bit, but we are one of the places in the world where people always want to get back to. And if you're from there, and that song speaks to that. And I thought that there was a comfort in it for a title for the record, where for me even, like where the way we did this record was we all set up old school in a studio, and we all played it live off the floor together. We rehearsed the songs and played them, and I've done that before, but this one was a direct result of being in this room that I'm in right now for 2 years in a row by myself, and I said, the next record I do, I'm friggin' doing it in a big studio, and to me that's home to me too, right? Is to get to do that. And
but you did hook up with, again, Donovan Woods, who has a wicked sense of humor, and a brilliant sense of what's going on in the songwriting world. Yeah. And I said, where are you? He says, and this is years ago. I'm in Nashville, over top of a garage. It's very, 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 it's star material. And and I'm writing by committee. Well, how big is a committee? As many people as they can get in a room.
Yeah, that's true.
And I've got to get out of this town.
Yeah. Well, I funny, I know exactly where I was. I was above Todd Clark's studio in his garage studio, and I was writing with Donovan and Todd and a few other people at the time, and they're wonderful songwriters. And of course, on this record, I wrote with Donovan a bunch as well. And I mean, he's just a delight, right? And one of the great things about Donovan is that as a co-writer is that he sees what's good in you, and that's what he writes to when he comes, and like, there's a song on this record, Welcome Home, actually I wrote with Donovan and another guy, and then myself and Donovan wrote the song called Dancing Like We Did Last Night, and I wrote it after a night in Toronto, and I went to him with this. This is an idea I've had in my mind forever, with a title of like, imagine waking in the morning and it not being the morning after, but it's actually still the same. It's the same. It's like, it's just the morning. It's not the morning after, it's the morning. And that what the joy you had last night continues, and that the the easy and free, as I say in the song, of the night before stays with you in the morning, and then in the afternoon, and then the next night, and then it goes on forever. That we have that joy and that freedom and that that whole notion of, and it's a real testament, to my own lucky life, right? It's like, let the band play on forever, through the darkness and daylight, and we'll all roll on together in this life, dancing like we did last night.
Let the sun rise, let the morning light shine. This won't die when the day comes to life. We can ride on, the tide is higher than high. Don't need to miss me or kiss me goodbye. took my hand in. I felt my feet leave the ground, and maybe we never need to come down. Let's be easy and free, let it be for you and me, and let the band play on forever through the darkness and daylight. And we'll all go along together in this life, dancing like we did last night. Our lonely hearts beat, but they were beating in time, and soon the dance floor was only yours and mine. And then the barkeep closed and swept to our feet, and we waltzed under fluorescent light. We were easy and free, let it be for you and me, and let the band play on forever through the darkness and daylight. And we'll all roll on together in this life, dancing like we did last night. So let the sun rise, let the morning bells chime, let them ring out the time of our lives, and let the band play on forever through the darkness and daylight. And we'll all roll on together in this life, dancing like we did, and let the band play on forever through the darkness and daylight. And we'll all roll on together in this life, dancing like we did last night. Dancing like we did last night. Dancing like we did last night. And I won't tell them that.
I did like Hard Old Hands.
Yeah, that's a kind of song that I probably wouldn't have written 10 years ago, just because I'm always so outward looking, and then Hard Old Hands, it actually came off a TikTok thing I did, believe it or not. I was sat in my kitchen upstairs, and I just had my like nylon string guitar, that I'm not very good at that kind of gentle guitar playing, as you can imagine. And I had this little cool sounding gentle piece of music, and I recorded it and put it on Instagram or TikTok or something, and said, the way my father or someone with hard old hands, for a gentle part like this. And then someone said, well, you should write a song called Hard Old Hands. And I did. And I just went and wrote it. And it's really a kind of a confession, I suppose, that, about being lucky and making the most of the tools that you have. Right. And certainly if you got a pair of mitts on you like I do, and you're trying to play mandolin and lutes and banjos that are not always the best suited, but and hard old in Newfoundland tongue, right, means what that saying really means is poorly suited. That's what hard old means. Like, what is a hard old shovel to be trying to dig that kind of hole with, or that's a hard old jacket to wear when it's raining out. You know what I mean? Unlikely tools for success.
They can pick you up When you're down and out, they can lift a cup. When the world needs drowning out, stubborn fingers, dogged thumbs, do whatever the day wants done. They're not beautiful, but I've found them strong enough. And these hard old hands can hold you, and they can make the dance floor dance. They give everything they got, won some fights, lost a lot, but I'll be damned. We'll keep doing the best we can, me and these hard old hands. Yeah, they've been broke, they've been burned, and they've been bruised, but on they go, like they've got nothing left to lose. Watch them bleeding while they play, punching high above their weight. They're not pretty, but they're pretty good, I'd say. That these hard old hands can hold you, and they can make the dance floor dance. They give everything they got, won some fights, lost a lot, but I'll be damned. We'll keep doing the best we can, me and these hard old hands. I know these hands can get you further than you ever thought you'd go. I know these hard old hands can get you home, and they can lay your head on a pillow soft and lightly in your bed, and strum a lullaby goodnight. And then these hard old hands can hold you, and they can make the dance floor dance. They give everything they got, won some fights, lost a lot, but I'll be damned. We'll keep doing the best we can. Yeah, I'll be damned. We'll keep doing the best we can, me and these hard old hands. Me and these hard old hands. Me and these hard old hands. Me and these hard old hands.
There's two songs I want to ask you about. I'm going to go
Yeah.
straight to it. The last song on the album, All
Yeah.
for a Song. You
Yeah.
and Ketch.
Oh, Ketch is the lead singer in Old Crow
Of course
Medicine.
it is.
Yeah, I wrote that song with the Ketch, and over the internet. We've actually never been in the same place, but he was a great Big C fan, and remains so. And I said, well, that's funny because I want to write a song that's kind of like a love letter to my time in Great Big Sea. I want to that, and he said, well, let's do it. And so we did. So that song is really a love letter to, the other guys in the band and our time that we had, and how much I loved it, and I'm so grateful to get it.
Too many questions. Long Night is the third song you co-wrote with Donovan Woods, you and Donovan
Yeah.
together.
I love that song.
I
I'm
love
glad
that
you
song.
asked about
Love
it.
that song.
It's really about, a gig or an experience, primarily a gig from my experience, where you're peeking out from behind the curtain going like, and there's a lyric in the song that goes, I looked and it's not looking good. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This does not look good, but we're going to get through it and off we go. It's going to be a long night, but that's all right. We've done this dance before.
It's impossible to those moments on stage when you're having an internal dialogue with yourself going, where are we? What have we done? Have I called them the wrong town? How are we going to get, everybody else has got phones in their hand. They're talking to, I have nobody's attention. I mean, it's a very humbling experience to go out saying, hello, I'm Alan Doyle.
Yeah.
And this is the beautiful, beautiful band. We've traveled a long way, and nobody's listening. Those
Yeah.
days are those days behind you?
No. I mean, that could happen anywhere, anytime. And again, like the whole thing of why a gig could be, I mean, like, you know, you might get hired to play for, Honda or something,
Okay.
at a convention or something.
Let me give you an example. May the 8th, you're at Knucklehead's Saloon in Kansas City.
That's right. I've never played Knuckleheads.
Knuckleheads.
City. I have played Kansas City a couple times, and I've done fairly well. But yeah, I mean, I just, you could. I don't blame some of your listeners if they don't believe what I would like to say, but I know you will believe it.
Okay.
I love that. Like, I love like playing Knuckleheads in Kansas City on a Tuesday night, and it's like it's one of my rants. Whenever I always say, like, guys, guess who's good on Friday night at Madison Square Garden? Everybody. It's Friday night at Madison. Guess who's good at Tuesday night at Knuckleheads in Kansas City? Not everyone. We are. We are gonna rock Knuckleheads in Kansas City.
You know where you are March the 8th?
No, am I in Vancouver?
Nope. No, check that. March the 9th.
March 9. Oh, that's Massey Hall. Yeah, that's Massey Hall. Yeah, that's a great one in Toronto. Yeah, that's beautiful. So March 9 is a big one at Massey Hall because that's, of course, one of the most storied venues in the country. And then the following Saturday is March 16, and we play Halifax, but we play the Rink. We're doing a big Rink rock show, which I'm delighted. I thought I wasn't sure if I'd ever get to headline a Rink again, but here we go. There's a couple on the tour actually. Yeah.
We're gonna have to do a speed round before we get. I bury myself with my own words. I got a phone call once from Much Music, said you got to go to Minneapolis and talk to John Mellencamp. He's really pissed off. We've been running an interview that's 5 years old and he hates it. He wants to do a new interview. Well, what's he got? He's got a new album. Okay, that's all I got. Got on a plane, it went. My camera was late. We got there. We did the interview. It was Lonesome Jubilee.
Yeah, incredible.
And I was thinking about you and all of your musician friends and singers and songwriters and what you thought of that album when it came out, because it was driven by the rhythm was fiddle.
Yeah, accordion. Yeah,
it was incredible.
Yeah,
and,
it was.
And
it was
changed his life. I kind of wonder what impression it had on you.
It was huge for me because I think that record's around 85. Would you imagine something like that? 86, something like that, mid 80s.
Yeah.
And so I would have been like 15 or 16, depending on when it came out. And of course, I'd grown up watching, the Wonderful Grand Band and Ron Hines and all that amazing trad music and that we had here in Newfoundland. And then, of course, the 80s came around, and I loved Van Halen and Def Leppard. But of course, I couldn't do any of that.
Yeah.
And then, and I remember, I had been a big Cougar fan, from Jack and Diane and all that stuff, those earlier records. And then Check It Out and came on the radio once from Lonesome Jubilee. And it was like this rock and roll thing with a gun singer with a gun band, but it wasn't electric guitar leading the way. It was fiddles and accordions and banjos. And then Paper and Fire came out and it just wrecked me. I was just like, because, for a fellow who grew up with accordions, that was one of my love, folk music and fiddles and accordions. And then, but on the other end, there was stuff like Van Halen and Def Leppard. But I was never going to do any of that, right? I couldn't play guitar that way or sing that high, or I wasn't. Trust me, if I could sing high enough, I would be in Def Leppard. And but I could sing like John Cougar, and like his voice was kind of like mine. And then he put out this record that was like incredible songs, incredible, rock like bass stuff. But it was driven by as you say, the accordion and the fiddle and this folky thing, and it blew my mind that was possible. Like, can we do that? Like, can that get on television? And will Much Music play John Cougar with a fiddle and accordion? And
yeah,
they
man.
did.
Yeah,
and we went, and I was like, that record was probably the biggest international influence in my young life.
Yeah, me too. And I was playing it.
We might have missed a highway sign, we might have missed a turn. We might be on a bridge that's gonna burn. Let's rise and raise a toast to it, get high and make the most of it. The hard way is the only way to learn. It's gonna be a long night, but that's alright. We've done this dance before. Just another long night, waltzing while the wolf is at the door. It's getting dark, but I can see a little spark is all we need. It's gonna be a long night, but that's alright. That's alright with me. I looked and it's not looking good. We took the road we thought we should. We didn't see the writing on the wall. But we won't let it break our hearts, 'cause broken hearts can't see the stars. And stars can find the perfect way to fall. It's gonna be a long night, but that's alright. We've done this dance before. Just another long night, waltzing while the wolf is at the door. It's getting dark, but I can see a little spark is all we need. It's gonna be a long night, but that's alright. That's alright for me and you. We'll make it through the heavy and the hard. So take my hand and dance until the daylight kills the dark. It's just another long night. And now the night is falling hard on a certain hurting hand of cards. You couldn't find a king or queen to save your life. Just remember when the nights are long, life is just a simple song. Sing and you'll remember every line. It's gonna be a long night, but that's alright. We've done this dance before. Waltzing while the wolf is at the door. It's gonna be a long night, but that's alright. We've done this dance before. Just another long night, waltzing while the wolf is at the door. It's getting dark, but I can see a little spark is all we need. It's gonna be a long night, but that's alright. That's alright with me. It's gonna be a long night, but that's alright. That's alright with me.
How old was that first single, Yours and Mine, or the second single, Yours and Mine? It's you and Jimmy Rankin. How old is the song?
We started that song in a session a while back, and I found it on my computer. Kind of forgot about it. And it was a session that we did, and we started writing a song about being a dad and about our boys,
Yes.
you know, growing up, and then
Leaving.
yeah, and like and so the song is really about, you know, watching your kids grow and go, and trying to tell them that you'll always be with them. You know, that just because it's scary to go, that doesn't mean they shouldn't, and that doesn't mean you're not with them just because you're not standing by their side.
Yeah.
You know, and it was, again, it's like, I think it's my first dad song, and you know, my boy now is, you know, he's graduating school this year.
He's a teenager, yeah?
He's 17, and like he'll be 18, and he's literally finishing grade 12 in a few months.
Does he want anything to do with that room?
Man, yeah, we spend a bit of time together down here. It's terrible.
Nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
Because I
It
couldn't
is.
get anybody to speak into a microphone. Nobody. They wanted nothing to do with it. Nothing. But they stole all my albums. Now, a couple of things. How did you like your experience with Telltale Harbor and the Charlottetown
A
Festival?
musical. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. It was a whole new thing, and it was another gift that the pandemic gave us. Was, you know, this idea came across my, you know, with to work with friends on a musical just before the pandemic came, and I wasn't sure if I'd ever have time to do it and like that. And then the pandemic came, and I sat in this room and wrote 22 or 23 songs for a musical, And I fell in love with it so much that I actually sheepishly asked them if they consider if I could play one of the lead roles. And
You wrote yourself into the play.
basically wrote myself into the play. The guy sounds just like he's from Petty Harbor. It's perfect. And so the character, yeah, I mean, it's based on the film. I'm sure you've seen the film.
Yep.
It's called The Grand Seduction.
Yeah.
Stars Brendan Gleeson, and it's a wonderful.
That's Ken Scott's book, right?
That's right. And the film, the original French film, was amazing, and then the English versions, Brendan Gleeson and a few others, and I play the character that Brendan plays in the film, and it's really about
Frank.
a town like Petty Harbor, like where I grew up, where it's come on hard times, and it needs a full-time doctor to save itself, basically, and so Frank, the guy I play, is a conjurer and a bit of a song and dance man, and he's fully convinced that they can hoodwink this visiting doctor to believe that Telltale Harbor is where he should spend the rest of his life, and off they go, and they have a month to do it, and they hijinks ensue.
Are you happy that you were able to get the tribute to Ron Hines gathered, recorded, and released?
Yeah, it was a really special project again during the pandemic, because not only were we available, but everybody was, and I think everyone was eager to do a Ron tribute soon as Ron died. But of course, the sheer scale of that and the importance of that, like that material around here, is not to be taken lightly. And thank God that the record came out in November and people love it. Because can you imagine living here, being the guy that put together a Ron tribute that sucked? I mean, you'd have to move to New Jersey or something. Like, I mean, you might as well. There'll be no forgiving you, I tell you right now.
Will you drop some of those, or at least one of those tunes in on tour?
Yeah, I actually, it's funny you should mention. I would literally just sent a note around, I'd love to do St. John's Waltz. I've been singing it my whole life, and
Okay.
and it'd be really cool to do a St. John's Waltz, I think.
St. John's Waltz, okay. Hold on a second. I'll remember that. Now, when Rough Side Out came out, love it. The label called it contemporary country, which I thought took, obviously they talked about it and thought it through. What is this? What is Welcome Home?
Oh God, I don't know. It's one of the hardest. It's been one of the blessings and banes of my professional life, trying to label what kind of music we do. Right?
Wait a minute. Maybe we shouldn't label it. Maybe we should just leave it.
I mean, it's me. It's Alan Doyle. It's honest me, and it's that stew, of influences of an '80s teenager who loved Van Halen, but also loved Lonesome Jubilee, who also loved Dunaloney and the Chieftains.
But it's a different you, because you're using lower register.
It's lower and slower for me. You're totally right. Yeah. And it's like that was this wonderful producer named Marcus Paquin, from Montreal. And he worked on a lot of big records like, Arcade Fire and a few others. And it's a great, wonderful guy. And when we sat in a room together, and he was aware of my back catalog and Great Big Sea and all that stuff. And he just said, look, Alan, he said, man, like, he said, you're allowed to take one for yourself, And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you've been singing out your whole career. You've been singing out, and, to try to get over the blare of the friggin' gambling machines at the bar in early days, or the pub with Great Big Sea, and he said, people will come to you, like they will listen to you now. Like, it's okay for you to sing lower and slower and more honestly and a bit more, we don't need to have 13 barn burners on here and like you might have in the past. So as a result, there's songs on it like Hard Old Hands and a few others that are deeply personal things that I probably would never have written and released even a decade ago,
Well, it's because you guaranteed, the older you, the younger you rather, guaranteed that everybody was going to have a great time. You were going to dance your ass off for as long as we were on stage. No power ballads, none of that stuff. And you delivered. You did it. But I kind of think you're thinking about the audience about, well, will they respond to this? Will they like it? Yeah, they'll like it. They'll love it. They'll love these tunes.
Oh, I'm grateful, yeah. And it's a little bit about being a little older and a bit more kind of reflective, I suppose, and also, I guess it's taken a while for me to be confident enough to to be deeply personal or even like inward looking in a way that it's taken a while for me to imagine that anyone would find that interesting. That what do I think of my own hands? And maybe that's a lesson hard learned. I don't know, but the I've been such an entertainer my whole life that I suppose until this record I've been reluctant to expect people to come to me for a song, and I think it took Marcus and even the band to convince me that that's okay. Alan, they got lots of burners, man. Like people would be curious to hear your thoughts on things like being a dad, or if you're grateful for the mitts that you've been given, and you don't need to yell at us. We'll come to you and listen.
We're there for you. We're there for you. We believe in you. We're there for you.
Yeah, and that's a humbling thing, right? For any,
well, and you did use the phrase, I worked at it. When you were talking about songwriting and your career, you worked at it. You worked at it.
Yeah.
And so the reward is you get to work at it and be happy on stage and make people happy. The reward is that people's memories, their lives are hooked, their children's lives are hooked into songs, moments with you. It's an incredible exchange.
It's and it goes on, and it's wild. It's still wild to me that, I mean, that especially, I mean, I still think as well that anyone goes to, like, that the concerts as a thing is still as big as it's bigger than it's ever been. That, like, with all the different things people be doing for a living, there's a 30-year-old selling out soccer stadiums around the globe, and there's a British kid, just him and his guitar sells out every stadium. People love this art form still, and it's like, thank God.
We said our goodbyes under an Argentia sky, with old Newfoundland at our backs. There's no beds on the ferry, so we drank ourselves merry and sailed off to find Halifax. We were told there'd be treasures and measures of gold, and beauties to crash by our sides. But what we found that first visit in an old Honda Civic was so much more than just a joyride. It wasn't for wine or for whiskey we fell. It wasn't for love, though the lovers did help. The reason we gave for sailing away so long on this wreck of a ship we've been on, you and me, we did it all for a song. By the time we hit Boston, we didn't know which way to turn. The bow round was bent and the whistles were dented, and singing was starting to burn. But we took a chance that we could keep them dancing, 'cause Lukey was making them clap. But we were dying to know just how far we could go, and life was worth living for that. It wasn't for wine or for whiskey we fell. It wasn't for love, though the lovers did help. The reason we gave for sailing away so long on this wreck of a ship we've been on, you and me, we did it all for a song we would sing with the walls closing in and 1,000 miles left to Grand Falls. And we cursed in the verse and swore the only thing worse than this ride would be no ride at all. not fame, acclaim, and not for ticket sales. Not for roses and thistles, or ladies and gents, and not for the youth or the money we spent. It wasn't wanderlust or rambling fever, or cruising in tubes down the cold Boise River. Not beer by the bucket or rum by the barrel, and not even the cover of the Newfoundland Herald. The reason we gave for sailing away so long on this wreck of a ship we've been on, you and me, we did it all for a song.
There's a question. What is it with all of the choices they have?
Yeah.
What brings them to you and your music?
That is the greatest question, and I do not know the answer, and that is a great thing that I don't. It's a mystery to me as well, and that's a good thing. And I remember talking to the late great John Mann. Of course, it was a good friend to both of us, and John would say stuff like, "Yeah, we're nothing but grateful that they do, and God help us if we ever figure out why they come." And we just do what we do and hope people like it, and be grateful if they do, and don't let them down. And I mean, if I had to hazard a guess, I would think that there's something about spending a night with someone who's just as grateful to be up on that side of the lights as you are to be down on this side of the lights. I guarantee you that, I think there's something satisfying about participating in someone else's great night, and I always try to be a big part of the audience's great night, but trust me, they're just as big a part of the night for me. So,
Alan Thomas Doyle from the Land of Three Named People, Terry David Mulligan. Only you can answer this question, if you care to. What does that feel like when you finish a song and this force comes at you, and it's not just people clapping, it's yelling, and it's an entire verbal wall comes and washes over you.
Yeah.
What does it feel like? What does it tingle?
It's deeply satisfying, because you worked hard to get there, right? And you realize that they worked hard to get there too, and that you're just a part of this great celebration, but you're the facilitator of it, undeniably.
Man.
And when you get that back, it's working, and everybody, and it's very satisfying, especially when you, like you say, you get a bit older and you realize that people sacrificed a lot to be where they are, in that seat or what have you. But it's also something very artistically satisfying when your intention in a song becomes realized, and especially with some of the up-tempo numbers and the crowd, those kind of barn burners that I love to do, and that come the easiest to me, oddly enough, as a writer, that those, because sometimes I write songs that literally have crowd lyrics in them, like when I say 1 2, you say 3 4 1 2, and I love that, and like some of the 80s bands, remember like Status Quo and those bands, they would always have parts, and Slade, and they would always have parts for the crowd to sing. It was built into the song, and I love that idea that, look, I'm just a band, and we're here together. I'm nothing without you, nothing. This song blows without your participation, and so I love that. I also love in the slower moments where you can feel that a confessional song or a deeply personal song moves people for a reason that you can't possibly know as a singer. I have no idea why this song about people, a song about me and my mom and dad, growing up is is meaningful to somebody from Scarborough on a Wednesday night, whatever.
What's the one song from this album then that will have that effect, do you think, down the road? I'm asking you to look forward. Which one?
Dancing Like We Did Last Night, I think, is infectious because I think everybody knows what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And it's
right.
different for me than it is for everybody else.
That's right.
But everybody knows that feeling of waking up in the morning going, that was awesome last night. I wish it was now. And however I felt, whatever made me do what I did and feel what I felt, I want it again. And
now here's the thing, audience. You want to, there's 44 dates. You want to, no matter where you're listening, you want to be in the room when Alan Doyle and the beautiful, beautiful band show up.
even knuckleheads.
Even knuckleheads in Kansas City. I know one guy who's going. February the 21st in Kelowna. 22nd in Victoria. I'll be there for sound check. The 23rd in Vancouver at the Orff.
Yeah.
Nice hall.
Beautiful.
Portland, and then Edmonton and Cranbrook and Trail. And then the February the 29th at Edmonton at the Northern Jube. March the 1st in Calgary at the Southern Jube, friends. And then off to Regina, Saskatoon, and all the way across the country. Uniting this country, bringing us together as human beings, whatever.
I'll take it.
Have you got a book in you?
Yeah, I'm writing a new book right now. I'm writing my fourth book about, it's a sort of a travel. It's the way the book I'm sort of describing it to people is, it's me saying, come with me, follow me around Newfoundland and Labrador because I knows everything about Newfoundland and Labrador. And then watch me discover that I actually know very little about Newfoundland and Labrador. Watch me go, oh.
I just want to thank you for doing this, and thank you for the music and the videos and the concerts.
I'll see you in a few weeks in Victoria if you're out and about.
Alan Thomas Doyle, Mulligan Stew, CKUA. Thank you, man.
Rock and roll.
Maybe the moment's come that you've been dreaming of, when the beat of your heart starts to fly. I've seen you crawl, I've seen you run, I've seen the rising of the sun. Yeah, it passes in the blink of an eye. When you hear that whistle blow, take the high road or the low, but take your time. No, you'll never walk alone. Take me with you when you go, and every night the stars will shine, yours and mine. Maybe the moment's now. Stand up and face the crowd and sing till your song is sung. Even the bell of the ball will stumble and fall, so dance till the dance is done. When you hear that whistle blow, take the high road or the low, but take your time. No, you'll never walk alone. Take me with you when you go, and every night the stars will shine, yours and mine. In our hearts we'll never be that far apart, where you and I will lie under the same old sky tonight. And at closing time, when the leaving bell chimes, and you're leaning for the road, it might be cold outside when they close the door behind, but those stars are gonna shine your way back home. When you hear that whistle blow, take the high road or the low, but take your time.